What if, the deepest kind of respect, the most profound reverence actually held a reward that was well beyond measure?
It's a really powerful thought, isn't it?
It is. And today we're diving into quite a fascinating story from some ancient Buddhist texts that explores exactly that idea.
We are. We're going to unpack this encounter between the Buddha and a Brahmin. It's found in a few versions of a text known as the Kassapadasabalassasuvan.
Right.
We've got the markdown, the PDF, the text file. They all basically tell the same core story, maybe with slightly different details here and there.
Okay, so our aim for this deep dive is pretty straightforward, really.
Right.
We want to understand who the Buddha thought was truly worthy of, let's say, our veneration.
And maybe just as importantly, why, right? The reasoning behind it, all through this, well, this very intriguing story.
Exactly. So let's set the scene. The Buddha, he's traveling from Savatthi towards Varanasi. He's got a large group of monks with him.
Yeah, quite a following.
And they stop near this village, Taddeya.
And this is where things get moving. The Buddha asks one of the monks to go and call over a Brahmin. This man is nearby, just, farming his land.
Right. And this is where it takes a bit of an unexpected turn, I think. Because when the Brahmin comes over, he doesn't do the usual greeting for the Buddha. Instead, he turns and pays respect to a local shrine, the Vahana.
Yeah, he venerates the shrine first. And the Buddha sees this, obviously.
And asks him, what's your feeling about this place? Why this reverence?
And the Brahmin explains, well, this isn't just some random spot. It's a shrine that his family, his whole lineage, has honored for generations.
So it's deeply traditional for him, worthy of respect.
Exactly. And what's really interesting is the Buddha's reaction right then.
Yeah, what does he do?
He doesn't, criticize the Brahmin at all. In fact, he praises him for the act of veneration.
Yeah.
Commends him for it.
Which must have raised some eyebrows among the monks, surely.
You'd think so. They might have been thinking, hold on, why is the Buddha praising someone for, venerating something else when he's right here?
Right. It naturally makes the monks curious. Why would the Buddha, the enlightened one, praise reverence directed towards, well, a traditional shrine?
Exactly. So to sort of address their doubts, their unspoken questions, the Buddha tells a story. He recounts the Gakara Sutta.
Ah, from the Majjhima Nikaya.
That's the one. It's another story where the Buddha basically emphasizes respecting those with real virtue, real attainment. It kind of sets the stage for what he's about to explain.
Okay, so he uses a story, but then he does something else, something quite dramatic.
He does. He doesn't just rely on words.
Yeah.
He uses his city power, kind of spiritual ability.
And creates this incredible visual display, right?
Yeah, imagine this. A golden stupa, a kind of kasitiya, suddenly appears. And it's huge, a full yojana high. That's a significant distance.
Wow.
And it's dedicated to Kassapa, the 10-powered one, Kassapadasabala,
Yeah.
a Buddha from a past age.
Okay, a golden stupa.
And then, as if that wasn't enough, he manifests another golden stupa, even higher up, visible in the sky for everyone to see.
That must have been absolutely stunning. The impact.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Definitely. And with this amazing sight right there in front of them, the Buddha turns back to the Brahmin.
Right. And poses a question.
A very direct question.
Mm-hmm.
He essentially asks, considering these magnificent stupas, honoring beings like Kassapa Buddha, wouldn't venerating them be even more fitting, more appropriate?
So he's using this display to shift the focus.
Precisely. And this leads us right to the heart of the teaching here.
Yeah.
Figuring out who is truly Pujaraha.
Worthy of veneration.
Yes. And he draws on another key text, the Mahaparinibbana Sutta, to lay out 4 types of individuals who qualify.
And we're not talking about just, generally good people here. These are individuals who've reached a very specific, very high level of attainment.
That's right. The key criteria he mentions are those who've transcended papanyaka.
Which is like mental chatter, mental proliferation, that constant stream of thoughts and judgments.
Exactly. The stuff that often leads us into suffering. And also those who've gone beyond Soka Paridava.
Sorrow and lamentation. So basically freed from deep emotional pain and mental constructs.
Yes. It's about a fundamental shift in experiencing reality, free from all that mental noise and suffering. That's the profound level of attainment he's pointing to. That's what makes someone truly worthy of the deepest respect.
Okay, so it's about this profound spiritual realization, transcending the mental and emotional roadblocks.
Precisely. And the text clarifies, that Pujaraha really means worthy of being venerated and also proper to venerate. It's the right thing to do.
And how is this veneration shown?
Well, through acts of salutation, abhivadanadihi, like bowing, showing respect physically, and also through offering the four requisites katushi pakahehi.
Which are the basics for monastic life, right? Food, clothing, shelter, medicine.
Exactly. Offering these things with a mind of reverence is a tangible way to show support and respect.
And when the text says Buddha here, it means more than just Gautama Buddha.
Yes, it seems likely. It probably includes all Sammasambuddhas, the fully enlightened ones, and maybe even Pacceka Buddhas, those who attain enlightenment on their own, but don't necessarily teach widely.
So a broader category of enlightened beings.
Right. The description really emphasizes their freedom, free from craving, wrong views, conceit, sorrow, lament, all of it. They're described as akutopaya,
Meaning?
without fear, fearless, because they've extinguished the defilements, ragati, like greed, hatred, delusion. Those root causes of suffering are gone.
So they're beyond the fears that come from those defilements.
Exactly. They're secure in their liberation.
Okay, so that clarifies who is worthy. But the Buddha then goes on to talk about the result of venerating them, right? The merit, the punya.
Yes, and this is where it gets, well, quite astonishing, really.
How so?
The Buddha states, quite plainly, that the merit you gain from venerating such beings, it's immeasurable.
Immeasurable.
Cannot be calculated, cannot be quantified.
Me.
Anyone, through any means.
Wow. Immeasurable merit. That's a huge claim. Does the text explain why it's beyond calculation? Is it about, like, the intention or the being themselves?
It suggests it's beyond our usual ways of measuring things. It mentions 3 types of measurement that just don't apply here. Tirana, which is like estimation or approximation.
Okay.
Dharana, which is weighing, like putting it on a scale.
Right.
And prana, which is measuring by volume, like trying to fill a container with it. None of these can capture the extent of this merit.
So the spiritual impact is just too vast for our ordinary understanding of, like, cause and effect.
That seems to be the implication. It transcends our normal framework.
And does it matter if the enlightened being is alive or has passed away?
That's another significant point the text makes. It says the merit is immeasurable whether they are alive or after they've passed into final nibbana.
Okay, so the state of the being doesn't diminish the merit generated by sincere reverence.
Apparently not. And there's even support for this idea cited from another text, the Vimanavathu, a quote attributed to Sakka, the king of the gods.
What does Sakka say?
Basically, he reinforces the idea. Whether a Buddha is living or has attained final nibbana, if your mind is serene and respectful when you venerate them, the positive result, the merit, is the same. It leads towards a good future, a good rebirth.
That's quite consistent then. This whole teaching, this whole encounter must have had a massive impact. On the monks, obviously, but especially on the Brahmin.
Well, absolutely. The text tells us that right at the end of the Buddha's discourse, the Brahmin achieves a major spiritual breakthrough.
What happens?
He becomes a sotapanna, a stream enterer.
Wow. That's the first stage of enlightenment, isn't it?
Yeah.
A guaranteed path from then on.
It is a huge transformation from just one teaching.
Incredible. And what about that giant golden stupa the Buddha manifested? Did it just vanish?
Not immediately, no. That Yojanahai golden stupa, it had actually remained visible in the sky.
For how long?
For 7 days, a whole week.
Imagine seeing that. It must have drawn huge crowds.
It did. A massive gathering of people came. And they spent those 7 days venerating the stupa, making offerings, showing respect in different ways.
I bet that caused quite a stir in the wider community. Maybe some arguments or divisions even?
Well, the text does mention that this event led to some divisions among people holding different beliefs. It was clearly a major, perhaps even controversial event.
Understandable. And then, after the 7 days...
Then, through the Buddha's power again, the golden stupa finally returned to its original location. It disappeared from the sky.
But that wasn't quite the end of it. Was there something else?
No, one more thing. At the exact moment the golden one vanished, a large stone stupa, a pasatsetya, miraculously appeared right there on the ground.
A permanent marker, almost?
Sort of, yeah. And maybe the most amazing part, in that huge crowd gathered there, the text says 84,000 beings.
84,000.
84,000. They attained Dhammapisamaya, comprehension of the Dharma. They understood the truth of the Buddha's teachings right then and there.
That number is just staggering. It really highlights the incredible power of the Buddha's teaching, especially this one about veneration.
It really does. The impact was clearly profound, touching so many people.
So if we kind of wrap this up, the core message seems to be that the Buddha pointed to very specific individuals himself, other Buddhas, and truly liberated disciples as being uniquely worthy of our deepest respect.
Yes, because of their incredible spiritual achievements, their transcendence of suffering.
And the benefit, the merit from offering that sincere respect is, well, off the charts, immeasurable.
Absolutely. This ancient story, it gives us such a direct look into these core Buddhist values, doesn't it? The power of reverence, who is truly worthy of it, and why.
And for you listening, if you're looking for that quick yet thorough insight, this deep dive really offers more than just an old story. It's a profound teaching about worthiness and the almost unbelievable benefit of genuine respect.
It definitely leaves us with something to think about, doesn't it? This idea of immeasurable merit. What does that really tell us about the power locked within our own intentions?
Yeah.
And about what constitutes true worthiness?
And maybe how might understanding this shape our own acts of reverence, not just in grand ways, but, in everyday life, how we regard others who embody wisdom or peace, something to mull over.